Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rainer Tang and I'm the President of the Law Institute of Victoria. I'd like to welcome you all here today. Let me begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands on which we meet today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I offer my respects to their elders past and present. I'm very pleased to welcome today's special guest speaker, the Federal Attorney General, Mark Dreyfus QC, who we will hear from shortly. As well as our members, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of former Chief Justice of the Family Court, Alastair Nicholson, and Victoria Legal Aid Managing Director, Bevan Warner. Today's event, hosted by the Law Institute, is proudly sponsored by Pitcher Partners. I'd also like to thank Pitcher Partners for their continued support of our flagship event, and their involvement is greatly valued. We are indeed fortunate to have Mark Dreyfus here today, for he is a very busy man. Gone are the days when a Federal Attorney General could concentrate on the role as the first law officer. Now, not only is Mark the Attorney General, he is also Special Minister for State, Minister for Emergency Management, and Minister for the Public Service and Integrity. Mark, I imagine just introducing yourself every time you meet someone must take a fair bit out of your day. It's a long way from the simplicity of, "Hi, I'm Kevin, and I'm here to help." Today, the Minister is going to address us regarding his agenda for the next 5 months before the election on 14 September. Within that 5-month period, there are a precious few days left in which both Houses of Parliament will sit. By my reckoning, the number is 22, so the government has very limited opportunity in which to progress current legislation in the Parliament, introduce new legislation, and seek to ensure the safe passage of that legislation for both Houses. Not that we're putting any pressure on you, Mark. So, what can the Minister achieve in this time, and on what will he focus? We know legal aid is on the government's agenda, as is the National Profession Project, and I believe the Minister will also be talking about pro bono work and anti-discrimination legislation. I'd like to make a few comments on the first and last of those items. As many people in the room will know, Victoria is in the ever-tightening grip of the worst legal aid funding crisis, and the people suffering as a result are the state's most disadvantaged and vulnerable. While government funding has gone up, so has the demand brought on by tough-on-crime policies at a state level and a focus on domestic violence at a federal level. In that climate, it is of concern that the proportion of legal aid funding provided by the Commonwealth has diminished over the last 20 years. I respectfully submit that the federal Labor government should seek to return to its core values by restoring the contribution to the legal aid system to 50%, as it was prior to 1997. The Law Institute has, as many will know, been campaigning hard on this issue and will continue to do so. More funding and a more cooperative approach is needed from both state and federal governments. Minister, on behalf of the disadvantaged and vulnerable, we are looking to you for leadership in this area. The Law Institute believes the federal government also has the opportunity to play an important leadership role in the area of discrimination. When Nicola Roxon was Attorney General, she set out to consolidate multiple anti-discrimination laws into a single regime by the Human Rights and Anti-Discrimination Bill. This was aspirational government at its best. The bill made bold statements about the sort of country that Australia should be, a country of equality and fairness. Watching recent YouTube videos of racist attacks on our public transport system, I believe the symbolism is actually very important. As a first-generation Australian with a mix of Asian and European Jewish heritage, I was encouraged by its aims. While the Law Institute did not agree with all parts of the bill, in the main we were very supportive. So it was with some disappointment that in March we heard that the government had decided, after the many years of consultation, to delay the introduction of that bill. Of course, not all was lost. The government has introduced very important changes to the anti-discrimination legislation to address sexual orientation, gender identity and intersex status. But with the election looming, we can only hope that the chance to introduce and implement the full suite of anti-discrimination changes has not been forever lost. In relation to that topic of sexual orientation, gender identity and intersex status, the current April edition of the Law Institute Journal is actually devoted to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender and intersex lawyers. On 29th of April, the Law Institute will host the first meeting of its very own LGBTI networking group. The working name for the group is LIV. I encourage anyone who wants to get involved to call the Law Institute for more information. Soon it will be time to hear from the Minister himself, but for now, please relax, enjoy your lunch, and I'll be back to introduce the Minister shortly. There will also be a chance to ask questions following the address. So So, thank you. Mark Dreyfus QC has not wasted any time making his mark in politics. He was elected to the House of Representatives as a member for Isaacs in November 2007. In 2010, he was appointed as Cabinet Secretary and Parliamentary Secretary for Climate Change and Energy Efficiency, Innovation and Industry. In his first term, Mark chaired the House of Representatives Standing Committee on Legal and Constitutional Affairs and was a member of the House Standing Committee on Climate Change, Water, Environment and the Arts, and the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Intelligence and Security. In February 2013, Mark was appointed as Attorney-General and Minister for Emergency Management. In March 2013, Mark was given additional responsibilities as the Minister for Public Service and Integrity and Special Minister for State. Prior to entering Parliament, Mark practiced as a barrister. He was appointed to Queen's Counsel in 1999 and is respected as one of Victoria's top defamation, commercial and planning lawyers. He appeared at trial and at appellate level in a wide variety of cases, including matters involving company law, administrative law, constitutional law, and my personal favourite, taxation law. In researching this speech, I came across a blog post that recites some of Mark's virtues in the following terms: tall, handsome, a fine voice, and a QC no less. He should be future PM material. However, unfortunately, the remainder of the post was a bit less flattering, so I won't repeat that. And in any event, after US President Obama's recent comments on Kamala Harris, the Californian Attorney General, I think I ought to steer clear of commenting on Mark's looks as well. But without further delay, please join me in welcoming Federal Attorney General Mark Dreyfus to the lectern.